All right, I said I would do a ETH update on high time frame levels if we got a lot of likes. Someone pointed out a lot is technically 170, so we met the criteria. Um, so I'm going to go over local price action here on ETH, and then some high time frame levels to the downside if we break down this range. So as of now, we've just barely by a few dollars taken this low, swing failured it. That was our ultimate low. We retested that level, got another rally. I want to point out that ETH has been incredibly technical here. Um, I'm going to turn off the volume. Um, yeah, so we have this initial rejection from the golden pocket. So that's pulled from this high to this low, which was also a trend line. Just a perfect touch, a rejection. ETH, I've said this a lot. I've traded ETH a lot. ETH respects trend lines better than Bitcoin by a large margin. So I'll point out a couple things. Then we got another golden pocket retracement perfectly from here, this high to this low. Rejected, came back, just barely swing failure at these lows, and we're getting a bit of a reaction. So locally, what's important here? Well, of course, we have this trend line, and we also have this point of control, which probably comes in quite near the 786. Um, so just two things. If we push into that resistance, that probably means that we've broken this trend line. So one thing I notice often is that ETH does not like to fake out trend lines. If you break a trend line, sorry about the cough. If you break a trend line, you're oftentimes going to continue to some degree. Now that doesn't mean you can't retrace it back under it, fake it out, and then go on. I've just noticed that ETH respects trend lines, and even if it semi fakes one out, it oftentimes means it will carry on further. Doesn't mean all the time. So I'm watching this trend line. We obviously just have a well-defined support level here that we've come and retested, putting in lows, creating opportunities for swing failures, but ultimately making lower highs, and we have bearish market structure, but we're consolidating at the support level. If we break down, there's a higher time frame idea, which is that we're in a descending channel. You can see this trend line here and this trend line here are parallel. So these parallel channels are really nice setups. They give you great trade opportunities. But what I'm looking at to the downside is we have some nice horizontal levels. We have one here, we have one here. This one also aligns with the 786 at around $1,285. Yeah, that's a pretty bearish target in a sense, I guess. But if we come down to it, especially if we hit it in this ascending channel or this level in the descending channel, I think it could offer a very nice opportunity. But you just need to remember that we are in a descending channel. So even if we get a rally, maybe we backtest this resistance as it intersects with this trend line, something like that. You just have to be analyzing price if this happens. You want to take profits at a minimum, stop loss entry if you get a good entry there, always using risk management. This is just how I'm approaching these levels in case we do break down. But maybe we range a little bit longer, and if we can come down and maybe it's with a back test of this trend line, maybe it even intersects with this wider trend line. We'll just see as we come down there. Trend lines obviously have a time axis, right? Because they're not a horizontal level, so depending on when you hit them, they may or may not intersect with other levels. But in this descending channel, this level around the 786, key horizontal, and possibly an interaction with this descending channel would be really nice. But if that comes, that's months away. So we could range here if we get that intersection. This one's a little closer, certainly worth watching. So yeah, locally, this is support. If we take these lows, I would love to just come back down and tap this channel. So I'd be cautious longing taking these lows. We've already tested these lows quite a few times, but maybe we get a swing failure. There's a lot of lines on the chart now, and that's a technical entry. So if there's some strength, you could look for that. But I'd really love to come down and hit this channel if we take these lows. Of course, we've already swing failure at these lows. If we clear off all this TA, it's going to look, hey, we're just retesting horizontal support. Maybe this descending channel is not relevant. I think it still is. You can see really nice interaction at the middle of the channel as well. So, it's it's levels you need. It's a chart, or sorry, it's a channel you need to watch. And I think anyone should have on their chart. But ultimately, there's been nice long opportunities at the lows. And yeah, very technical retracements on shorts. Like I said, probably more so than Bitcoin. I always find ETH actually has cleaner price action than Bitcoin a lot of times. Cleaner channels, cleaner rejections, a little less aggressive on liquidity grabbing. But obviously the makeup of this range has been a lot different than Bitcoin, where we're consistently testing the absolute lows of that initial low we put in on May 12th, whereas Bitcoin hasn't been, right? So a little more volatile. Yeah, I probably, if I have a bias at this point, I probably lean towards this channel getting tested at some point. And so, maybe maybe there's some FUD or something that comes out around all the major ETH updates, something like that could drive price lower. I mean, I think it would be for technical reasons, prices going lower, but there's always a news excuse where people say, oh, we only came down here because of this news that came out. Well, the technical level was identifiable. So we're certainly building a lot of liquidity under these lows as we range here. Lots of people are going to have their stop losses down here. So this could be a likely target. People get very bearish. Again, if we break down, it's just about having a plan. This is a really nice target as well. So to the upside, say you're in longs from these retracements. Well, on a high time frame, we again want to look to the middle of this channel. We're kind of beyond. ETH does like the 0.5 more so than Bitcoin. Let's just turn this on here. So if we do get, even if we come down and get a bounce here, this is going to be important resistance, the middle of the channel, the 0.5. Obviously, these levels will shift if we come down lower, because you'll have to pull them down to there, right? So, yeah, you just need to obviously repull your levels depending on price action. We can also pull a volume profile across this price action. I want to point out two things. So we have a defined volume area here, a defined volume area here. These liquidity zones are going to be important. And inside this range, we have a very defined point of control, much more defined than Bitcoin's, at least on this pairing. So, or on this exchange, which is Bybit. And you can see we've gotten some nice interaction here, which makes sense because this means this is where the most volume has been transacted in this range. Ultimately, we back tested it, rejected. So pushing up to here, certainly going to be major resistance locally. And then on a higher time frame, if we get a breakout, looking up towards the middle of this channel. Maybe a push through it, into this 786 high volume area. But you just got to watch it, is price rejecting from resistance? Or is it reclaiming it? All right, so that's my ETH update. I think it's pretty straightforward. The most interesting idea, of course, to me is this large descending channel that we're in. We've, of course, tapped it, so that could be the last time we touch it. But it does seem we're generating a lot of liquidity here. So always looking for a potential fake out of this trend line, and we come down and see lower, hit the horizontal, hit it on the channel. So those are the levels I'm watching. All right. Hope you guys are having a good day. And there's my ETH update.